Welcome back to Send Better Emails with another special episode with Jake Russell today. Jake, thanks for joining us, mate.
Morning, how are you both?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. Yeah. So Jake joins us from Mercatus. I was fully briefed on how to pronounce that before we joined. They're an Amazon specialist agency, and I wanted to get Jake on because there's a really interesting thing here around brands using Amazon, which is obviously a great tactic, and we'll talk about that a little bit, but how the relationship between using Amazon and what we do as email marketers and using first-party data and building databases, etc. So we'll dive into that a little bit in a sec, but we've got the quickfire round first. So every guest gets these questions. Jake's been briefed. Hopefully he feels ready. So Jake, one book, fiction or non-fiction, that you recommend to everyone?
So I went with non-fiction on this. Thought it was a bit more relevant for the sort of business link podcast, but I can give you a non-fiction one as well. But I've always really been into like behavioral economics, and there's a book by Daniel Kahneman called Thinking Fast and Slow. I don't know if either of you have read that. It's about the two systems of thinking. One that's like really fast and intuitive, one that's slow and more analytical. I think it's like super interesting in terms of like the content within your day-to-day life and understanding like your own biases. But then if you think about the work world, there's loads of amazing stuff in there, particularly for marketers, around like framing effects and things like that, that can help like you understand what you're doing in your work and whatnot. So yeah, that would be my non-fiction that I suggest to people.
Nice. That one's definitely on my shelf, but I've not read it yet.
It's collecting dust.
There might be the one where we do the give me a 5-minute overview on ChatGPT. Just give me the highlights.
Yeah, I get most non-fiction books. You can just do that nowadays, can't you? There's a few key takeaways, and if ChatGPT can tell you, save yourself the time.
Yeah, I'm sure there's lots of authors out there that are cursing us right now for saying that. But
yeah.
Jake, one linked influencer that you think is worth following, if there are any that you think are worth following.
I think this is a bit of a harder one. So the guy I really like, I actually don't follow him on LinkedIn, but I assume he's on there because the content is similar. I follow him on Instagram. His name's Ashwin Krishnaswamy. And he's part of a podcast called The Brand Fathers, and they just talk about marketing and brand, particularly like consumer brands. But it's just like really engaging from content. It's more it's deep stuff. He's really knowledgeable about what he's talking about, but he's just framed it in a less like LinkedIn way. I assume he is on LinkedIn, but I follow him on Instagram. Yeah. But I guess he would be over there. So in the Brand Father podcast, there's 3 of them in that sort of similar world, talking about like how big brands have built themselves. So yeah, I suggest that.
Okay, well, people can just follow him on Instagram if he's not on LinkedIn. But I'm sure.
I think it is Ashwin. If you search Ashwin, and it comes up pretty high now. He's got a lot of followers.
Okay, nice. One newsletter. Do you subscribe to any newsletters? And if you do, what's one that you recommend?
Yeah, a few. Whether I read them or not is the other thing. Like they're coming into the inbox. But the one of late that I've found quite interesting is the Vibe Marketer. I think it's just called like the Vibe Marketer. Like he does it like twice a week. It's a guy who. He was originally called the Boring Marketer, then AI has sort of come around and he's focusing on sort of marketing automations and like, improving your like sort of go-to-market for marketing using AI. So there's some really interesting stuff in there, like whether I've spent the time to try and actually implement it is another thing, but there's some really cool stuff what people are doing. It's just bringing all those sort of people together who've come, in that similar vibe marketer. It's the same as the vibe coding, but, applied to marketing. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's good.
Okay.
The other one, I think the only other one would be like I think it's like D2C. It's just called the D2C newsletter, I think is a good one if you're in sort of like that sort of world.
Nice.
I'm really impressed at the Vibe marketer, because I've just had a quick look at the landing page, and apparently only 2,600 people subscribe, Jake. So that is a real hipster choice. I love that. I mean, 2,600 is not to be sniffed at, but still.
Yeah, I think he's quite big on on Twitter and whatnot. That's how I've come across him. But yeah, I didn't realize it was so niche in that, to be honest.
There we go.
Yeah.
Maybe he needs some help with his newsletter growth.
Yeah, exactly.
James,
drop him a message.
Okay, one person alive or dead to have dinner with, Jake.
David Byrne, without a doubt. Yeah, he's alive, so that'd be easier than a dead person.
Yeah. David Byrne. Do I know David Byrne?
Please ask it so I don't have to, Jake.
Yeah, okay.
Who
is David Byrne?
The Talking Heads front man.
Okay, right, fine.
Are we there?
Yeah,
white hair, excellent dancer.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it? The dancing that would lead you to want to have dinner with him?
Oh, I'd definitely
or is there something else?
Get him up for a dance. Yeah. I mean, his moves are pretty legendary. So yeah, I wouldn't mind getting up there.
So why him? Do you think he'd be a good conversationalist?
It just probably my greatest sort of musician, favorite musician ever. He's just like super interesting guy. He's in his 60s now, closing on 70, so he's had an unbelievable career and life. So he would be a very interesting person to have dinner with.
Nice. And who's picking up the bill?
I think I'd pay in that case. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I'm not sure what David Byrne would want for dinner. It'd be something pretty avant-garde, but it'd be good.
Go on. In 2011, Rolling Stone put Talking Heads in their top 100 greatest artists of all time, Jake, but at number 100. How do you feel about that?
Really? Wow. No, that's pretty... surprised there's not 99 better artists than Talking Heads, I'll say that.
Well, they should have been number one.
James,
who is
number
99?
Who's 99? Who's one better than Talking Heads?
Oh, I haven't. Hang on, I haven't got the full list.
Okay,
give us number one's got to be the Beatles, surely. But I can give him that. But not 98 other people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the top three are the Beatles, Bob Dylan, and Elvis Presley.
Okay, well,
this Wikipedia article is just giving me random kind of bands at various positions. So REM is 97th, Jay-Z is 88th. Jake, so absorb that. Jay-Z 12 places higher than Talking Heads.
Yeah,
Metallica, Queen are in there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. They're definitely better than Queen. I'll go.
Jake's just on a mission to piss everyone off. So there's authors by looking at their books on ChatGPT, and Queen fans. So one thing that you would like to ban from existence, is it that top 100 list of artists? Is it Queen? What is it that you'd like to ban?
Bohemian Rhapsody. I wouldn't mind banning that. That's
okay. I'm actually
really,
with
Jake?
you there. I'm actually with him on that. Yeah.
The greatest song ever to have been written.
It's banned for just people who think that Bohemian Rhapsody is the greatest song that was ever written.
All right, guys, see you later.
Yeah.
So I think you wanted a hot take. I guess you wanted a hot take for this one. This is what the podcast is all about, isn't it? So I've gone for Dubai, and people who want to go to Dubai is what I would ban from existence.
Okay.
Even though I know Jamie went that relatively recently, didn't you?
I did, yeah, and I had a really great time. So actually, that's both of us banned now, James. So Jake can do the rest of the episode on his own.
I actually love that, though. I love that. Okay. Bohemian Rhapsody, I've got time for that song, even though I do agree it's overplayed. But Dubai all day long. I'm all for
it's
that
more
hot
about
take.
I guess the idea of it, and people you get on LinkedIn now saying, "Oh, I'm going to move to Dubai. UK is terrible." Blah blah blah. That whole narrative really annoys me more than anything. They just say you don't want to pay tax. Like, that's what it's really about, isn't it?
I think there are great swathes of the population by saying banning people who enjoy Bohemian Rhapsody, and by saying banning people who like the idea of Dubai. that's got to because they're going to be two different groups, I think.
That's like 90% of the UK.
Yeah.
We've really cut them down there, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Yeah. Okay, biggest fuck up or situation you've had to pick yourself up from?
So yeah, I remember. I can't even remember the exact details of it, but I remember my very first job in digital marketing. So, I managed to overnight. So from when I left the office to in the morning, spent 10 grand through Google Ads accidentally. I can't even remember how it happened now, but it obviously at the time, and this was not like a mega budget account, so £10,000 and 12 hours or whatever on that with 0 conversions was pretty bad. When I noticed that in the morning, it was like, ooh, that's going to be a difficult conversation when I get into work to tell my boss.
Mate, how did you feel when you saw it first?
Oh yeah, it's pretty sickening, to be honest. But my boss at the time, who's still a very good friend now, was very nice about it, and it allowed me to sort of put some stuff in place that meant that it could stop things like that happening in the future, which I think helped me in good stead. But yeah, it was pretty sickening to be like, just checking how the ads have done overnight. Oh, £10,000.
Yeah, I think that I would. Yeah, I feel sick just hearing about that, to be honest.
Yeah.
When you first started telling that story, sorry, Jake.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying, when you first started telling that story, I was like, this is going to be an amazing redemption story of how he got like an incredible ROI or something. Like, I was waiting for you to say it's the 0 conversions that really was the cherry on top of that.
It's like, if it had really been like this sort of out there test and it worked and we generated £1 million off it, but no, 0 conversions. so yeah. So I won't be doing that, and we never did again. It's sort of it's taught me and everybody I work with, budget control is absolutely key, because when you've got unlimited budgets on there, then you can spend 10 grand in a night. Lucky it wasn't more, to be honest.
Yeah, that is crazy. It's also the kind of mistake you only make once as well, I imagine.
Exactly. Yeah, I actually built a script to text me when it overspent afterwards. After that, so it's like it was never going to let that happen again, because I'll get a text about it.
Okay, nice, fair.
That's cool. It's cool that you can just do that.
Yeah. Well, when you're forced to after that, you're like, I need to do something to redeem yourself.
Nice. Okay, last one then. So, your favorite memory or one thing you're most proud of?
You've got to say this, but it's definitely my daughter I'm most proud of. I think all parents are going to say it, and I wouldn't have thought I was one of those sort of people who would be saying that sort of soppy stuff. But as soon as you have a kid, you do actually realise it's pretty amazing. You are definitely you're going through the list of what other things you're proud of. You're like, no, none of them compare really. So yeah, definitely my daughter.
Okay, fair. And how old's your daughter?
3.
3. Okay, nice.
Yeah. Lovely age to be causing trouble.
Yeah, I can imagine. Nice. Okay, quick fire round done. So we can get to the serious stuff now. Just quickly, Jake, before we ask kind of deeper questions, why Amazon? Why did you start your Amazon agency, and why is Amazon so important for brands?
Yeah. So my sort of journey into the Amazon world, I kind of got into Amazon unexpectedly. I lived in China for a while, come back and got a job with a guy. This entrepreneur offered me a job because he wanted to do some more stuff with China. So I did that. He had this other business, or part of the other business, that was Amazon. So once I joined and he'd offered me that job, he was like, actually, you just want to come and work on this. And then that was Amazon business, grew that to a really big Amazon business. So sort of cut my teeth there. Early days of Amazon, it was much, much easier than now. We made the first iPad case. So when the first iPad come out, and then we sort of grew with every iPhone launch, whatnot, and sold on all the Amazons around the world. So I had all that experience from that, met my business partners through that business, and we sort of realized it wasn't just necessarily that product that the skill was, it was the ability to sell on Amazon, the skill of selling on Amazon that was there, not just that particular product. So we decided to have go out with an agency after him. Someone come to us who needed some help, and then we won that business early on, and they stayed with us for like five years or so until they ended up the business got acquired. So yeah, we sort of just built off the back of that, had some really good success for them, took them from like 0 to millions, and that allowed us to like move into other areas and pick up clients, and we've been doing it for nearly 7 years now, I think.
Okay, nice. Because I have dabbled with Amazon previously in another job, and I just didn't get anywhere with it because I found it quite difficult to kind of do. And this because I was coming in with no experience here. But one thing that strikes me about Amazon is that it's a really great way to get your product in front of more people, right? Is that a fair statement? And is that what brands are using Amazon for primarily?
Yeah. They've just removed a lot of the friction for you to run a brand. Effectively, they've got massive reach. They've built. They've spent years and years and an insane amount of investment building the best customer experience. That includes obviously phenomenal like distribution that puts you within reach of like a massive amount of the globe within like a day or 2 days. So it's where consumers want to be. So it's a place where you get super high conversion rates because customers are so comfortable buying there. So yeah, they've made it like really frictionless, and then the whole model they've built and the long-term vision of it around wanting to be the cheapest place online and how they built the system so that whilst it could be annoying for sellers, again it's like amazing for the consumer. So for a customer acquisition channel in e-com, there's almost nothing better. It's a captive audience that are already there, willing to pay, have got Prime membership, they know they can get it delivered. Everybody knows as a consumer, you're happy to buy on Amazon because you don't have to worry, is it going to get chucked behind the bins or, like that, like in the same way as like in every delivery does. They deliver well on time, and then have amazing customer service to boot with it. So yeah, I think it's definitely the best place if you want to go meet the customer where they are. It's there, and a low impact way of doing that compared to like spinning up a full Shopify, figuring out your fulfillment solutions XYZ. It just does make it quite frictionless.
Okay, nice. And on Amazon, I want to ask you, this is kind of two questions in one, but we've covered what Amazon's great for. Like, where do the limitations come in, or where are people where are people getting it wrong? So if brands are using Amazon and they're getting it wrong, what does that look like as well?
Yeah, I guess that like sort of rolls into the conversation about like, what you guys do and whatnot. But I'd say the main limitation of Amazon is that ultimately people are buying from Amazon, and it is definitely a little bit harder to build your brand on that platform, in the sense that people often, if you say, where'd you get that from? They'll say Amazon. It's not say I bought it from this brand, I bought it from that brand. Like Amazon own the customer, and you're just sort of renting it in a way. So you have to actively work to build that brand experience for yourself and do something so that you can build that outside of Amazon. So because yeah, it's all set up to favor Amazon in that way. Amazon delivering, it's coming in Amazon packaging. You don't get the data from them in terms of like about your customers to some extent. I'm sure we'll go through that. But yeah, I would say that's definitely a limitation. If you can build a lot of volume on there, but if you want a bigger brand outside of that, you've really got to put in the work to try and grow that.
Nice. James had a question before we were on air about like customer data. And I like the brand equity piece as well there. But sorry, James, I cut across you there.
Oh, no, it's okay. No, I was about to ask that. I was just going to say it would be great to understand, because I've bought loads off Amazon, but I've never sold anything on there, never seen what the back end looks like for a brand selling on there. So what if you could just give me like a very layman's term explanation of like, what can you see as a brand about your customer?
Yeah. So the two ways of selling on Amazon are two ways of fulfillment. One is FBA, which is fulfilled by Amazon, and that's like sending your stock into the massive warehouses you see on the side of the motorway. And then fulfilled by merchant, which is where you ship it yourself, you use your own warehouse to ship it, etc. So with FBA, you effectively don't really get anything. You get a hashed email that then you can message them through the Amazon platform. Now, you can send like follow-up messages like after you've purchased stuff, but even over time they've reduced what you were able to do that. They've put in a sort of, I guess, like, it must have been because of GDPR, they put in a opt-in marketing message there, because in the past you used to be able to send HTML formatted sort of email to them through this messaging system, but they've cut that out. I guess, as I say, I think it's probably GDPR killed that. So really, you're just getting a hashed email from that. On the FBM side, you do get a phone number for them. You do get an address because you've got to deliver the product, but you do only get a hashed email. So there's a little bit more you can glean from that if you've got millions of orders and you've got millions of delivery addresses. There's some use of that data you can put together to figure stuff out. But yeah, not a lot is the question. But there are things that I guess we'll get into probably a bit more in some of the other questions like that Amazon are releasing now to open up a little bit in a controlled way to allow you to do more with the data you do have.
Nice. Okay, that's so the question that I wanted to ask, because what we preach about all the time here at the Inbox Club is about first party data, about owning your list, and about building a brand for yourself through email as a channel. So kind of sending good messaging, relevant messaging, the kind of emails that get people coming back again and again. And I guess that key component that you mentioned there is missing on Amazon, right? You get the great stuff, you get the friction taking out of launching a product, you get the great fulfillment and the customer service that Amazon, you get this kind of built for you, ready to go thing, right? But you maybe sell your soul a little bit in that you don't build, it's almost like it's renting over ownership, right? So have you seen any ways in which people can build their own first party data as a successful merchant on Amazon?
Yeah, definitely. So all the best brands who operate in there have a system to try and pull them back into your own ecosystem. So the main way, like traditionally, has always been through inserts in your product, like product inserts, and trying to then have different means of capturing that email post-purchase, because it's the one place where you're having that touch point. You're actually sending a product to them. Can you get something in there that is going to then drive them back? So we've done stuff in the past like if you're in the kitchen world, you can have like recipe books where you can unlock ebooks and things like that, user guides, setup videos, all these sort of different ways to like push you to opt-in pages to try and pick stuff up. The one that worked really well for us in the business that I spoke about previously is we give a lifetime guarantee on the product. We were relatively like low end price point in terms of like £15 to £30 RRP. So it wasn't of a big cost to us to have a lifetime guarantee on there. But the way to get that guarantee was you had to sign up and give your email address. So we had really high sign up, but then actually in terms of like actually people claiming the lifetime guarantee was quite low. So it's a pretty low cost to build a pretty strong list that then we were able to build a D2C site to a pretty decent size off the back of that. So yeah, there's a load of different ways. It's just like playing around with different like educational stuff, loyalty clubs, referral clubs, but it's all driven for inserts because it's really the only way you can go and contact them. Like I said, in the past, there was like a sort of internal emailing system that you could use that had some varying successes, but they've kind of stripped that back and you can send some things now, but with no external link. So yeah, it's one of the few places, but there are like quite a few like Amazon terms of services stuff. So you've got to go like sort of skirt between the grey areas to try and get the most value out of it without Amazon giving you a slap on the wrist.
Interesting.
Jake, what's the do you have any idea what the benchmark ought to be for a brand in terms of how many of their customers they end up getting an email address for if they're using inserts?
Yeah, it's obviously relatively low in the grand scheme of things. But if you're in high volume gaming, you can pick up like 5%. that's what we would try and look at. Like, it depends. With the guarantee, we were getting more because you are giving a bit of value back to them. The sort of like user guide sort of stuff was at a lower end of stuff. So if you were getting 5% on that, that would be amazing. But like with the guarantee, we did get about 10% of people. And, you know, if you, a lot of Amazon's a volume game, isn't it? So if you sell millions of units a year, it turns into a pretty decent number. But yeah, to get more than that, I guess it's quite hard. You know yourselves, you open a package and go, what's that? Chuck it away sort of thing.
Yeah, I think I like that lifetime guarantee thing. I think that's clever because those cases didn't need to last a lifetime. They just needed to last longer than the actual iPad until the next model was out, right, or whatever. So
yeah, exactly.
I can imagine there was like almost zero claims there.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so I'm looking at our list of questions here. So given that we have email marketing as a channel and this first party data, and we have Amazon, and you're selling on Amazon successfully, you're also successfully managed to convert 5%, say, in getting email addresses. How do those two then complement each other? Are you doing that in order to get people away from Amazon and buying you directly? Like, what is the aim, and how do those two things support each other?
Yeah, so it kind of depends by brand. Like, some people want to pull them into your own ecosystem, start selling from your site, you're higher margin, you're not paying the fees to Amazon, and then you can continually market to them in a way that you can't do quite as well on Amazon. But then others, I think more interesting for us, and obviously the kind of route we tend to push, is using those emails for Amazon's benefit as well. So they're an Amazon customer. You want to you're doing some new launches, for example, you can use your email list for use on Amazon. So we've got a client who they have a D2C site. It does maybe like £1 million a year, but their Amazon business is like 10, 15 times the size of that. So, what is useful for them is maintaining the position on Amazon because it's worth so much more to them. They use their email list to drive new launches. So whenever we've got something new coming out, we'll push it through their email list. That'll get us a spike. So the way Amazon's ranking algorithm works is based on, a large proponent is based on something called BSR. So it's the sales rank of the product. If you can spike your sales rank, then that's what helps push you up the organic ranking. So you don't have to have a huge amount of volume from an email list pushing into Amazon to spike that sales rank to like the bestseller in a category. So if you can do that, then you pick up the organic volume and it helps kick things off. So that's the way we like to use it, because obviously that benefits Amazon for our purposes, our selfish purposes. And then same sort of stuff, like if you've got restock, replenishment sort of things where you've stuff's been out of stock for a while, you've got stock in Amazon, you might not have stock on the website. There's ways to push people across there to try and use them in tandem. So I guess dependent on what the strategy as a brand is, if you're low margin on Amazon, you're going to want to bring them over to your site and get some more margin there. If you're trying to maintain a dominant position in the organic rankings on Amazon, you might want to use your emails to drive some of your like loyal customers who love your brand into Amazon to buy some stuff to keep you at the top of the rankings. So it's a bit of a trade-off. We always have that sort of argument, or not argument, like debate with people, but we always found that one conversion on Amazon is equal to 3 in the future. That's how we always looked at it. So it was like, it was not worth sending people to the website to make that little bit of extra bit of margin, because the impact we can have by getting those people into Amazon and push up the rankings to the exposure of a wider net of people meant that you got 3 conversions down the line. It was sort of thing. Now that doesn't, not every category is going to be like that. You do need to be in a pretty high volume category for that. But you can see how, if you're going to get 500 conversions from an email, for argument's sake, you might want to push that to Amazon and have that sort of sustain your strong rankings for the future. Yeah.
And I guess you might charge more and make a higher margin by selling direct, but also if it's being fulfilled by Amazon, I guess it's taking out of your hands there, and you're outsourcing that, right? So that's not costing you time or resource or anything there.
Yeah, exactly.
And I see the benefit of that. I guess the argument against it, and maybe you can shine some light on this, is, okay, we'll say we feature a product and we say, okay, well, in this email, let's send them to Amazon to look at this product and try and convert them there. No doubt, Amazon's product pages are probably the most optimized product pages in the world. That's me not talking as a CRO expert. That's just me as an Amazon customer. But I'm guessing they invest a lot of money in that. But the downside is that on the product pages, there will always be other people's products there too. And so you're going to be compared even on your own product page with competitors, etc. So I guess that's a downside. Do you see that as a downside?
Yeah, there's definitely always that risk. We said that, like, I always made the analogy of, like, you send traffic into Amazon, it's like opening the door to a Tesco superstore. As they walk in, your product's on the shelf in front of them, but there's also the whole entire superstore behind them. So they can wander and go and buy something else. But, it's a trade-off of looking at where your conversion rate. So the conversion rate is very, very high compared to
We lost Jake.
The show must go on, Jamie. Just pick up where Jake left off.
I'll be the Amazon expert, just briefly. We can definitely trim this bit out.
Yeah,
till he comes back.
Yeah. I really liked your point about the other products, mate. That was a nice raise.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Hello?
Ali's here, just waiting for the critical moment to start barking.
Sorry about that. I don't know.
He's back. He's back. No, that's all right, mate. We can trim that out. That's fine. You were saying Superstore and it was a trade-off.
Yeah. So there is always that risk, but then there's things you can do to try and mitigate that. Having defensive advertising strategies, so you take up as much of the space on the page where other competitors can jump in. But as I was saying, it's like the conversion rate is so high because, again, it's just like so frictionless to buy from Amazon that it can offset that. So if they are going to wander, but you've got double the conversion rate, it sort of balances itself out.
Yeah, nice. Okay. Do you have any examples of? I mean, you had an example there of brands effectively using like data capture. So the company that you used to work with in the lifetime guarantee. Have you got an example of a brand that was actually then activating that list and using email marketing really well in conjunction with Amazon, and what that looked like?
Yeah. So the one I find most impressive was from the US, a brand called High Key Cookies. So they're like a keto cookie, high subscription rates on Amazon, which Amazon love. Like, it helps drive your rankings with that. So they used the combination of their email and capturing more subscribers to sort of push these new variations that they got. So they had like a say peanut butter cookie coming out, a new flavor. They've got captive audience of people who already love their products from the email list. They use that to push that traffic through to boost that up the rankings, spike the bestseller rate for the product, which is going to help it with organic rankings as well. But they also use that in conjunction with a subscribe and save offer to get more people subscribed. So I think it was like some insane number, like within a day. Massive amount of subscriptions, so you not only boost yourself up the rankings from an organic perspective, you've already got recurring revenue from sort of day one for that product. That then really helps everything else. Then you can go invest in the advertising to push it even further. So I think that's a good combination if you use the email and the sort of subscription systems within Amazon to drive both of them, that you can get a good bang for your buck.
Yeah, nice. And what I like about that example is that email marketing is like all about retention and loyalty. And so if you can find a way to get to that goal quicker by using this subscribe and save feature, then like, why not take that? Otherwise we're just, we're being email purists and say, oh, you need the data and you need to be able to, we need the data so that we can get retention and loyalty. If there's a way to do that and achieve that through Amazon, then great, let's use that. Albeit, you might be sacrificing a bit of profit margin to do so. Do you think, I think you mentioned earlier about Amazon potentially opening up data more to its users. Do you see, are there any whisperings at the moment? What do you see happening in the future for Amazon? Will it be more open, or do you think it will be more closed?
Yeah, I think that they're moving towards a bit more open world, I think. So there's something that's launched relatively new recently called Amazon Marketing Cloud. So what it is like a clean room for your data. So you can it brings all the events in from different parts of Amazon. So it has like all the organic events, all your ad events, anything that's like happening in Amazon. Pulls that into AMC, and then you can also then plug in first party data into that. It then cleans that, anonymizes it, and then allows you to sort of look at insights and build audiences off the two. So it's definitely like a step in the right direction in that sense. You can now, if you've got your email list, that you can plug that in, you can look at like overlap analysis. So it's like, where did these customers start on Amazon and then come over to the website, or did they go on a website and now they're buying on Amazon, etc.? So there's definitely they're opening up in that sense, and then you can use that data in the same way you can do, like with Meta and whatnot. You can start making lookalike audiences to go after similar sort of people. So it's definitely opening up a little bit more. They're doing that as a way to just build more and more into their advertising ecosystem. It's like insanely large. I think it's something like 60 billion, just the advertising revenue from at the moment. So it's a way of like bolstering that side of the business, but at least it's good news for sellers. You can actually do some more interesting stuff with it now. So yeah, it's definitely moving that way.
Yeah, I really like that idea of that marketing cloud function where you can plug both ends in and kind of have this then synergy between the two. I mean, that sounds awesome.
Jake, I'm really keen to know so one thing that we're always talking to creators about is like, if you're only building an audience on one platform, you're vulnerable, right? If you have a massive LinkedIn audience, but that's your only audience, you're vulnerable because, we often hear these stories of YouTube creators getting demonetized, or Elon Musk has bought Twitter and suddenly nobody's getting any reach, and all of these sorts of vulnerabilities. So I guess I'm really interested to know, like, are there any cautionary tales when it comes to Amazon and being solely dependent on Amazon as a platform and not building that first-party data?
Yeah, definitely. I've seen plenty of horror stories over the years, where Amazon will shut an account down for a month because of this and that. And, it is a real risk that the keys to the kingdom are in their hands, and there's a lot of bad actors. There used to be a lot of crazy things going on in the past. I've heard, like, I think we've been party to some of the bad actors in the past. There's some insane stories, where you've got employees within Amazon being paid $100,000 to turn off a competitor's listing for a week or whatever, all that sort of stuff. So it really is like, there are some risky stuff. Now, Amazon have done a lot to like clean that up. Apparently they have an internal, what they call like a sort of FBI, CIA sort of investigators, or what's it called, like internal affairs, actually, when it's cops who are chasing cops, that sort of thing. They've got a system for that, because you can imagine there was a point where, they were using a lot of staff over in, say, India or whatnot. We're obviously going to be on a lower salary. If a Chinese seller comes and says, here's $100,000, there's quite a bit of an incentive for those guys to mess with stuff. So yeah, there's definite risk there. And that's part of this, as you say, James. It's like, you want to use Amazon to build your volume, start to build your business, but you've got to be thinking about how you turn that into a brand that you can pull in different channels. You can use it to get the product out there, but as a channel on its own, it is definitely risky.
Nice. Jake, I want to finish up the episode with how we normally ask, how we normally finish episodes, by asking our guests for a hot take. And you gave us a hot take on the
Dubai hot take.
Yeah, the Dubai hot take. But I would love a hot take.
It's going to be hard to beat.
It is going to be hard to beat. I preferred the Bohemian Rhapsody one, but anyway.
I forgot about that one.
I'm going to chuck Mr. Brightside in that same bucket as Bohemian Rhapsody. Anyway, your hot take on Amazon, on first-party data, on e-commerce as a whole, I would love to hear what that hot take is.
This is a bit hard. I hadn't thought about this one. Yeah, A little bit of a hot take, even though I've been a fan of it over the past few years. I feel as if the longevity of TikTok Shop is not as great as it was initially sort of seeming. There is, I think, the nature of how the volume is built through there feels to me like something that makes the platform worse, i.e. the primary function of TikTok, which is obviously people going and watching dance videos and daft things like that. I think that phrase, is it enshittification, which is just like things getting worse and worse over time, particularly on the internet.
I love that phrase.
It feels like the incentives of TikTok Shop make that platform worse. Now, I may be wrong, and it's done very well, and we've got involved with it ourselves because it does help with Amazon. It just feels like for that to continue to grow and ever to get to a point where it would be like considering, competing with Amazon or whatnot, you actually fundamentally have to make the core product of TikTok worse by shoving more and more of these ads in there that are almost worse than ads in some respect, because it's just people being like, oh, look at this product that's been sent. It's great. So yeah, I think there's part of that would be my hot take, is that maybe the longevity of TikTok Shop as itself is not as great as the hype at the moment seems it may be.
Okay, nice. I mean, that is a world in which I'm not involved with at all. So it's interesting to hear someone's opinion on that. So no, thanks for that, Jake. Jake, is there anything else? We're going to put links to Mercatus. We're going to put links to your LinkedIn page in these show notes here. Where can people find you otherwise? And how do they get in touch?
Yeah, LinkedIn. Drop me a message on LinkedIn. Always happy to chat with anybody who's doing anything on Amazon. Particularly, I think one of the interesting areas, if you're listening and watching this podcast because you're interested in the first party side of things and would like to maybe have a conversation about AMC and how that can help connect the dots between what you're doing on the sort of brand side and first party data there and Amazon, then drop me a message. I'd like to have a conversation with anyone.
Nice. Thank you, Jake. Thanks for coming on.
Amazing.
Thanks for listening, everyone. This has been another episode of Send Better Emails.
I'm going to go listen to some Talking Heads.
Yeah, nice. Do some dancing.
It's time to start my education. Yeah.
Well, don't set your expectations too high, because they are only 100th best band in the world. So,
Exactly.
Anyway, thanks, Jake, James. Cheers.
Thanks.
Cheers, guys.